Thank y'all for joining me for another episode of Background. Today I'm joined by my friend Chike, and he's a member of Black Men Run. And so, man, I'm gonna have you introduce yourself, bro, and tell us about your run journey. So, start us off however you want, bro.
All right, for sure, man. Yeah, so I've been running, with Rico and the rest of BMR Columbia for a couple of years now. I moved here in 2023 from Atlanta, originally from Detroit. I'm repping all the time.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, so I originally started running with Black Men Run in like 2021 when I was living in New Orleans. I was part of this organization called Son of a Saint, which is a mentorship program for young boys, boys without fathers. So their dad's incarcerated or deceased or not in the picture for whatever reason. So it's like positive male role models. And one of the events was a Black Men Run. So I went out there, and the kids didn't really make it out because it was early in the morning. So there weren't a lot of boys that day, but there were some older guys like me. And so I've been running with Black Men Run since then
Okay,
through
cool.
several cities. So I moved from New Orleans to Atlanta, linked up in Atlanta, and then when I moved to Columbia, linked up in Columbia too.
Gotcha. So you know Ed Walton and Jason Russell real well.
Yeah, so I did a little internship in the Mecca, in the birthplace in Atlanta. So I met Ed, I met Jason Russell, and a lot of the OGs in Atlanta who've been there since day one, the first run at Grant Park. So a lot of those guys, David Henry, he was one of the originals out there. Mark Monroe, who's the captain right now, he's been there since the early days. So a lot of those guys, JT Hale, a lot of those guys, they've been 10, 11 years deep.
Right. That's funny you mentioned David because when I ran the Labor Day race back in September actually, I ran into David for the first time. Like I follow him on social media, but I ran into him for the first time down there, and I didn't realize he was from the same city that I'm from.
Yeah,
And
for
we
sure.
ran the Labor Day road race, but the whole time he had been from Macon, he had never ran it at all. I had never ran it at all. So him, and my brother all ran it together. Eventually, we met up and we kind of like caught up on like getting just to know each other. David's a real cool guy. But it was nice to be able to know that somebody from like my city like was from the same area as me. So it gave me like kind of like a better reason to be excited about, the race that I signed up for that weekend. To get a chance to know my brothers a little more, bro. So yeah, David's cool, Ed's cool. Jason just completed like another half marathon yesterday, I think.
Yeah, I saw that. His first since his stroke in 2017. So
Since 2017, yep. That's so awesome to see, bro. And what is it that you do, bro? What is your career that you have
so
going
I'm
on?
a physician. I did anesthesiology as my primary specialty. So I did a 4-year residency in anesthesia. And then I did a 1-year fellowship, which is what I was doing in Atlanta in interventional pain. So currently I do exclusively interventional pain. So like interventional spine injections, epidurals, things like that.
Gotcha. So if I hurt myself, I'm coming to see you, right?
So I work at the VA. So you got to enlist first, become a veteran, and then I can treat
Right.
you.
That's fun. Like, so how did you find interest in running? Like, were you like, did you grow up doing sports and stuff, bro? Or because I know people tend to find running later in life.
Yeah, so that was kind of me. Not super late, but I grew up playing soccer. My parents are Nigerian immigrants, so we were playing soccer from as long as I can remember. I got two brothers and a sister. She was playing too, but she kind of gave it up a little bit earlier than the rest of us. But we played soccer, all through our youth. I played a lot of basketball starting in like late elementary, middle school, and basketball was really my primary sport. When I went to college, it's a little bit harder to get 10 guys to play basketball or 20 guys to play soccer, so I was running kind of just to stay in shape. So um, I would run a little bit, but I was still primarily like playing pickup basketball, lifting a lot of weights, and running was just something I would do kind of sporadically. um, I ran my first half, which was probably like my first organized race. I might have done a 5K or something at some point, but I ran my first half my first year of med school. We were all working and studying, and we just thought it'd be kind of a cool thing to. Running was kind of hot at the time, not as hot as it is now, but it was like a little mini running boom, and so people were getting into these halves and these color runs and Spartan races and all that at that time. So we all signed up. at the beginning of the year to run this Pittsburgh. I was in Pittsburgh half marathon, which was to take place kind of at the end of our year. So we all signed up for that, did that, and I did that every year for a 4 year program. I did that for the first 3 years, and I was kind of like, that first one I didn't really train. Like in retrospect, I didn't train at all. I like, I went out and ran a little bit, but like I said, I was hooping every day almost. I was playing soccer a couple times a week. So it's not that I came from the couch, but I didn't do like dedicated running training. And each time, like around mile 10, I would like hit the wall and I'd be like crawling to the finish basically. And so, I I thought, this is just how it is. So that was my first year. The second year, I said it's because I've never run this far. I ran like 6 miles um, before my first half, and so I said if I do like a 10 mile run, then my body will be prepared. Just one 10 mile run, then my body will be prepared. So I did it. Second year, still hit that wall at that like mile 10 mark, and then um, our fourth year, our final year of the program, we're like, all right, let's go big, let's get it, go out, with like the biggest thing we've done. So we all signed up for the marathon, and so that we took seriously. I joined a run club with Steel City Road Runners in Pittsburgh. Did like the weekly long runs, did the weekday runs. I followed the plan that I found online and completed that. So since then, I've kind of been in and out of running. Always, uh, always find my way back, but never as consistent as I've been over the past couple of years.
Yeah. So your first like organized race, it was it's a half marathon?
I think so. I mean, I may have done a 5K at some point, but
Yeah.
but I think I did like a turkey trot with my sister. Thinking back in like 2012, so that was probably my first organized race. But that was a little fun run. But the first time I like really went out there, got a nice medal and everything was at 2013 Pittsburgh Marathon. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool, man. Because I think back to Demetrius, like, and and we were all kind of like, I guess, well, me, I was kind of like kind of shocked, seeing when he kind of came along with BMR, joined BMR, and he was training, but at the Governors Cup, he ended up running the half marathon, and
Yeah, yeah,
as fast as he ran it in, I was kind of
yeah,
thinking to myself, that wasn't my first race. My first race was like only like 3 miles. So I
yeah,
wasn't gonna even dare try that. But when he did that, I was kind of like, whoa, like, sometimes like people just, want to just try it and see what they can do. But it kind of just amazes me to see like, what distance somebody's willing to go first, no matter if it's like like to 10 miles. Like I haven't really tried a 10 mile like that before. But gradually, I guess what I'm saying, I try to get better and better and work my way up to those distances. But some people kind of take their chances with it. But for me, I don't have enough like stamina. Like, I only have so much stamina in me to be honest with you. So that's my first question was like when you did like the half marathon, did you see yourself becoming like a distance runner? Or would you see
no, I
yourself doing
mean,
one?
I wasn't really overthinking it at that time. It was just something that I thought would be like cool to accomplish. I didn't feel like this would be something like I'd keep doing, I guess. Or I mean, I guess I just didn't really think about it either way. Like I was a sprinter when I did track in junior high school. And that's kind of the story for a lot of people. I thought running was kind of weak. I'm like, I'm not good at like this long distance stuff. It's not really skillful. It's like they're just not fast. Anyone can run for a long time. Ignorance. I didn't know any better. But I just did it, because I thought it was like something cool to like say I'd done, and then we had fun. We had fun that first time, so which is why we kept coming back the second and third year. Um, but I don't know. I didn't think I'd be. It's not something that I planned to do. Actually after that marathon that I did, 2016 Pittsburgh Marathon, I kind of said I was done. I'm not doing another one. Um, it was tough. Took a lot of time. A lot of dedication to keep running, and my experience wasn't the best. It was a real tough race. So I said I'm done. I've done that. I got the medal. I can say I've done it. If anyone asks me, I'm part of that small group that's running a marathon. Like on to the next thing, right?
Yeah,
And
so
I was true to that for a while. I didn't run another one for 7 years or so. So, I stayed away. I went back to the halves because to me, halves are a little bit more manageable, a little bit less to chew off. But I somehow found my way back to marathon.
it's what I get from everybody constantly, bro. Like that is so before I even go any further, is runner's high a real thing for people that's watching it?
Uh, I mean, it just depends how you interpret it. I like the feeling of accomplishment that you have, after finishing. I don't go. I come back from a run a lot of times. I'm hurt and I'm sore, so I don't know that I have like that instantaneous runner's high. But I like to set a goal and work towards that goal and accomplish it. So I don't know. So I don't know if that's what
Yeah.
other people feel when they feel the running side, but that's kind of what I get out of it.
Yeah, that's no, that's a good answer because when I do talk to people, like they may say, yeah, that's it. I just want to be in that 1%. And that's not bad. That's awesome, man. Like, cause I kind of look back and like some things and doesn't have to be just running, but with running, it's just some people, like I said, I may have gone to school with, you may have gone to school with, and they may say, no, I'm never gonna do that. And then you kind of wake up one morning like, what if I could accomplish it? And what if somebody else, thinks that they might be able to get there too? And they may see you do it, see somebody else do it, and like, maybe I'll try and see where I can go. For me, like, I was thinking like, I do want to be able to say I finished one. I finished one so far. I
Yeah,
finished one. Like, and it was ugly. I tell you, it was the ugliest, you know, 26.2 miles ever, but it was fun for me, after the fact that I was, cross
yeah,
finish line, of course. But I told myself, all the cramping, all the aching, and obviously I could train a little better, but I told myself like, I want to do another one. I said, that's what I said. I said, I want to do another. I'm like, yo, I'm done. That's it. And other people have had the same experience. Like, just like, but at the same time, it's like, when I lay in my bed and I'm like, I might do another one. Like this is crazy, Lord. Like, so that's why I was asking, do you believe, when people say runner's high, like that's what it is? Because it's like you want to get up and try it again. Like you just like you can't. I won't want to call it like a addiction, but
yeah,
it's just
yeah.
like extra motivation you have that you didn't have before prior to doing it. So like when you did complete like your first full, like what was it like for you, like on the actual course? Like, how did you like, did you have gels with you? Did you have um hydration pack with you? Was there anything that you did that first marathon that you knew that you learned the most,
So I
after
took
completing?
uh I took one goo at 13 miles, one gel, because like I told you, I knew nothing. I was ignorant. I'd done the half 3 years in a row, and I'd finished it. And I said I had trouble at mile 10 each time, but like I said before, I didn't really do a lot of volume in training for those. But this time I did like a proper, I did a Hal Higdon training plan that I found online. So I'd run, 20 miles, I'd run 13, 15 miles a bunch of times. Um, there was less like information out there. Like smartphone, I'm not that old. Smartphones were around, but it wasn't the same as is now where you just have so much information on YouTube and everywhere. So I didn't really know any better. I heard someone say like you're supposed to have these goo gels while you run. So I figured I've done half marathon without these goo gels. So I'll take one at mile 13 and that'll get me through, the second half of it. So, I got to 13 feeling good. I think that 13 miles probably would have been a half marathon PR if I'd stopped at that point. And then I took my gel and went about 2 more miles, and then everything started falling apart. I started cramping in my hamstrings. And I pushed through that for a little bit, and then they just started locking up, and I was kind of run walking for the rest of the race. So looking back, I know I blamed it on like the heat because that was Pittsburgh. The race is in early May, so our training was all through the winter. We were bundled up, and that was like the first kind of hot day of the year. So I said it was probably the heat. My body wasn't acclimated, but looking back, I mean, it was just definitely poor nutrition, poor hydration, maybe not enough miles. Because ever since then, I've got kind of up the mileage and stuff if I'm doing a race. But I finished. I crossed the line. Uh, real sore, but
What was your time? Or did you?
uh, I think it was like 4:05. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I mean, I was shooting for like 3:45 because I wanted to do 8:30 pace, and all my training was kind of geared at 8:30 pace. I mean, I didn't just show up, like I did. I'm not gonna act like I just showed up and ran, 4:05. But you learn some things and to optimize the training. So I did the training, um, just not as good as it should have been or could have been.
Okay. So how many? I know you mentioned like you may have done like some 5, 10 Ks or some previous races, but like since we talked about the half marathon you did, from there to like this marathon, like how many full marathons have you done now? Because you've done others, and we're gonna
Yeah,
get into the New York City Marathon in a
yeah,
second.
yeah.
But yeah, so how many altogether now?
So that was like I said, my last half or my last full for 7 years, and I kind of stopped running. I mean, I got busy with like my medical training stuff, right? So I went to residency. You don't have a lot of time. I kind of would just run here or there, and then what brought me kind of back is just randomly I'd run the Detroit half in 2016. So that same year that I ran the full, I ran the half marathon in my hometown. That one's cool because it goes into Canada, so it goes like over the bridge at like mile 2, 3 into Canada. A lot of people might, well, I don't know, people might not know, but we border Canada, so it's
Hmm.
right there. So it goes over the bridge, and then you run through Windsor, which is the city right across the river from us, for a few miles. Then you come back in through the tunnel and finish in the trail. So I did that in 2016, and that was like a cool race. So in 2020, I signed up for that again, and me and my sister were going to do it together. Um, so I signed up. Registration opens like January 1st, and that was going to be like my return, right? But then COVID canceled that and forced me to defer it to last year, to the next year. Sorry. Um, but then I did do 2021, I mean, and then I just started kind of doing it every year. 2022, I did it. Um, Actually, 2022 was the Black Men Run National Meetup that year. So I had planned to do it anyway, but then that was around the time that I joined up with BMR. And I heard a bunch of guys were going up there. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna be up there anyway. So that was cool. And then after that race in 2022, I was living in Atlanta, running on the Beltline.
Hmm.
I saw it was like the week I returned from Detroit back to Atlanta, and I saw someone wearing a Chicago Marathon like jacket or shirt or something. And you're still on that, like, I guess what we just discussed, like runner's high or that feeling of accomplishment. And I'm like, you know what, like, if I were to do another marathon, like Chicago would be a cool one to do, right? Like,
Right.
so then I went home that same day. I Googled the Chicago Marathon, and I found out that the lottery was open. Like because in retrospect, we all know how hard it is to get into these things. But I found lottery's currently open. It's closing in a couple of weeks. So I just on a whim kind of just entered the lottery for the Chicago Marathon. And then I texted my friend and said, "Hey man, enter this Chicago Marathon lottery." And he said, "All right, cool." And so we both entered. And then it was like December 1st that year is when they let the results up.
Hmm.
And we both got in. And I was like, oh, shoot. Like, I didn't really know what the odds were. I'd done a little reading. At the time, people were saying it was like 40, 50%, which it can't be anywhere near that today, but maybe it was a few years back. So I'm like, well, I'm in. So now I guess I got to do it. So that's how I kind of got back to the. That's
Right.
how I kind of got back to the marathon. So me and him both got in, which is I think even crazier that we both got in. Like since then, I've entered, different lotteries for London, Tokyo, New York, and I strike out every time. So like at that point, I didn't know how hard it was to get into these and how rare it was. So the fact that we both got in, I think is crazy. Um, but then after that, the combination of running that and being in Atlanta and running with BMR at the time, it's kind of like that influence, all the people around you. Uh, they got you wanting to do more runs, more races, more things. So after that's when I'm like, I could get I set like the goal to get the 6-star finisher medal and find a way to get into all the majors. So since then, it's been a little bit more deliberate to try and get into these marathons.
So you done the full in Pittsburgh, you done a full in Germany?
Yeah, so I did Pittsburgh in 2016, then Chicago 23, Germany 24, and then New York last month.
So that's four?
Four.
Okay, cool. Sweet, man. And how much did you know how much you had to raise for the Chicago at that day?
So I didn't raise any money for Chicago because I got in off the lottery, like I said. So I mean,
Oh,
the it was just the entry fee. I don't remember what it was, $100, $200 maybe. So these races are getting expensive, and the major marathons are definitely expensive. But
real.
for that one, I paid for like the hospitality tent and stuff because I was about to get my first like big boy job and I was splurging. So I bought the tent, like the heated tent, like private bathrooms and stuff. So I spent a little money. But my brother lives up there, so I got to stay for free. So I saved a little bit of money on the lodging. So
Yeah. Okay, sweet, man. And so that's you want to try to have all the majors accomplished? That's what you want?
yeah, so that's the goal I set, and now I feel like I gotta do my best to accomplish it. It's tough, as you know. The lotteries are hard. Even the charity spots are competitive. It's expensive, and it takes time. It takes a lot of time to train for these races. So.
Okay. And for those who are watching, even for myself, remind everybody or tell everybody what are the majors? What are the seven? Is it seven majors?
So right now it's 7. When I started, it was 6. And they'll still honor if you do like the quote unquote like original 6, they'll still honor that accomplishment with like that 6-star medal. But it's current the 6 are Chicago, Boston, Berlin, New York, London, and Tokyo. That's 6, right?
Yeah, that's
Yeah, and then
six.
Sydney just was added this August as the 7th. And then the Cape Town, South Africa one is likely joining next year. So
Gotcha.
they ran it in. They were supposed to run it in October of this year, but they canceled it like 90 minutes before the race. And
Are
that
you
was supposed
serious?
yeah, that was supposed to be their last like race to like prove that they were a worthy candidate for the majors. And then this coming May, it was supposed to be his first running as a major, but because of that, so but they're still. I think they're gonna. They're still running it in May. It just won't be an official major, but they're calling it like a provisional major. So probably about 27, it'll be fully recognized.
Man, if I'm just standing there at the start finish, I'm like, yo, 90 minutes and you cancel this whole thing, and I'm
Yeah.
like, I could be running out there right now, and
Yeah,
that's
they said it was because of the winds. They said it wasn't safe, but I mean, it's crazy. Imagine flying. I mean, hopefully, a lot of people were local and didn't have too far to go. But imagine coming like from the U.S. Half a day and a half of travel, lodging, and everything, and then they're just like, "Oh, sorry."
that is wild, man. So it seemed like, while we're on this subject, it's like, you mentioned like the original six. You seem like you're almost there at the original six now, because if you had started a lot later, it would be a lot harder to see that possibly,
Yeah,
happen for you.
so I'm halfway. I got 3 done. I'm doing London in April, so that'll be 4. Um, and then we'll see. Tokyo's very hard to get in, and then Boston, you got to be fast. You got to qualify or find another way in, find a way through charity or something. So I've kind of left that one alone. I said, let me try and get the 5 that are easier to get, and then we'll try and tackle the holy grail.
Yeah. And for those who are like kind of new to running or just want, better, or just some good running content, that's the Super Bowl for all runners, right? That's the oldest one from what I've researched.
I don't know if it's the oldest. I couldn't tell you for sure if it's oldest, but it's like it's one of the most prestigious, obviously, because you can't sign up. You gotta qualify, and the qualifying times are very fast, and um, apparently not fast enough because people are doing it and, and doing it to the extent that some people hit the time don't even get in because there are too many people who hit the time. So I mean, I think it's crazy that there are that many people that are that fast. But
Well, let's talk about specifically the New York City marathon. I saw that it was a record number of people that participated this year. So that shows the interest of people not just wanting to run a marathon, but just the interest people have in running, period, these days. It's skyrocketing now. Like people just find interest in more running. But in particular with New York City, tell us what was it like for you to be up there? Did you expect for it to be that many people? For you to have to run with, and then how did you prepare? Like, from flying up there to preparing the night before, which actually I think it was like a late night for you, right? Because you got in late because of a flight delay.
uh,
And how was the whole
yeah. So
experience
I
for
mean
you?
that was 2 days before. So yeah, it messed up the travel plans a little bit, but yeah, so I kind of expected, New York City. Well, first of all the majors, you had tens of thousands of people, so you expect that. New York City, I feel like always breaks the participant record. Like this wasn't their first time breaking it; they broke at some point a few years ago. Then when I was in Berlin last year, that broke it, 2024. And then I guess London 2025 broke it again. And then New York broke. I think just with this running boom, the popularity of running, every major marathon, it seems like it's going to break it sequentially. Like each time they host it, it's going to break it. So I was kind of, I expected to be running with that many people, but it was still, a very cool experience, very well organized. But they know what they're doing. They've done it 50 whatever times at this point. So, but the morning is a little bit of some people call it the marathon before the marathon because you start on Staten Island and you finish in Central Park. So they're very far from each other. A lot of races are like loops where you kind of start and finish in the same area so you can do bag check or whatever. But this, you got to kind of journey to the start line. Um, and then make it to the finish. So I got you asked about my flight. So I was originally supposed to leave here in Colombia like 6 a.m. Friday morning, get in around 8 or 9 to New York, and have kind of all of Friday, all of Saturday, race on Sunday. We had I don't know if you remember, we had like a lot of, I guess it wasn't so much down here, but back in up in New York, they were having a lot of winds and like
Mhm.
storms that were causing a lot of flight delays. It was also the government shutdown, so the TSA agents were calling out and not at work. So the combination of that caused a lot of uh, problems with the flights. So I ended up not getting in to New York till like midnight on that Friday. So that kind of took out that whole Friday, which I had planned to go to the expo, get my stuff, kind of be ready. So that Friday, I kind of just, or so Saturday, I was just chilling. So I ended up getting in late Friday and having to kind of condense everything into Saturday. So going to the expo, trying to do any kind of last minute race preparations. I ran New York for a charity, so we had like our charity meetup that Saturday and everything. So I had just a lot on the schedule for Saturday that I'd planned and hoped to spread across 2 days, but it all worked out. So race morning, I woke up probably like 4:30, ate my breakfast, got on the subway, took it to the Staten Island ferry, um, like station essentially. Then you take the ferry across the water to Staten Island, get off the ferry, get onto a bus, another like 20-minute bus ride to Fort Wadsworth, which is where the start is. And then you start in waves. I was in wave three, which started at 10:20. So I was there in the kind of start village for like 2.5 hours, just having to kill time until I could get into my start corral. Um, so it's a lot. It's a lot mentally and physically. The morning of the race, but fortunately, everything went off pretty smoothly, and everything worked out.
Did you see any celebrities out there, bro? I know a couple of them ran from what I saw on a couple of social
Yeah.
media posts that
So
were.
I saw some like running influencer type celebrities that I recognize. I don't really have Instagram, but I see, so I recognize some people. And then I saw probably the biggest celebrity I saw was Nore, the rapper. It was kind of publicized that he was running it. I saw him at mile like 20 or 21 in the Bronx. He had a little crew with him, all with their like run champs shirt and gear on. So he must have started in wave one because I was past. They were walking and I was past. So, so he must
Right.
have started early.
Nice. Okay, cool. And how cold was it when you started?
It actually wasn't bad, man. It was like actually maybe a little bit too warm for the ideal temperature you want. I don't remember exactly the degrees, but I think it was like in the 50s when I started. And then, like I said, a 10:20 race start is pretty late, right, for these races. So by the time I ran and was like halfway, it was like it was like 60 degrees by the time I was like finishing. So that was maybe a little too hot. Some areas where there wasn't shade or like building, you were kind of sweating and getting warm.
Okay, cool. And what did you end up finishing in your time wise?
My time was 3:34. Yeah, 3 hours, 34 minutes. So
Okay, so that's literally like how many minutes better than your Pittsburgh? That's like what, like 30 minutes more faster? 20 something,
yeah,
25
yeah,
minutes?
30 minutes faster. But I don't even count Pittsburgh because it was like a lifetime ago, man. That was almost 10 years ago. And like I said, I didn't train.
Yeah.
Knowing what I know now, I guess you can't ever know what you know now without the experience. But knowing what I know now, like I could have done more, done better had I trained a little bit smarter, executed a little bit better. But I
Yeah.
guess the only way to know that is through experience. So that's
Sweet. Gotcha. And then the last question I asked about you, ask about this is when it comes to like I said, the first race, like you weren't really prepared. What did you know for sure about this New York City marathon? Looking back at it, like, we're talking about like current days now, like that we're seeing, or making worse, right? So this recent marathon you ran, like, what did
so.
you do like this time that you knew like you were pretty ready for it from start
Yeah.
to
So
finish?
I use Runner now, which is a training app that a lot of people are using, which has been good because it kind of prescribes your workouts. It syncs to your My Garmin, like your watch, and it'll like give you live feedback as you're going. So that's been good to kind of structure a plan for me. And really, it's just all in the preparation. At least me, I got to run more than more than you kind of think you need to run. Like I was probably doing 20 some 30 miles a week when I did the Pittsburgh marathon, and I ran like I probably averaged like close to 50 miles a week during my New York training block, and my peak week was like 70 miles. And so for me, I found that volume works. Nutrition, obviously, taking one gel at 13 miles is not the recipe at all. So just been trying to be better with the nutrition. I take a gel on the course every like 30-ish minutes. Um, Hydration, I hit like almost every water stop, even if it's just drinking part of the cup just to get something down. So, I mean, no real secrets, just stuff that I didn't know back then, being new. So now I kind of know the stuff. It's just executing and having a little bit of luck on race day, right? Because been lucky that most of my races since then have gone pretty smooth because people train hard, do all the right things, and still get a cramp at the wrong place or whatever. Doesn't work out for whatever reason. So I've just been lucky.
Yeah. Okay, cool. And then, all right, one more before we run out of time with this one. Because I do a part two, talk about BMR and stuff.
Sure.
So, like overall, like, if someone's like considering like doing a marathon, like, which one would you probably recommend them to possibly sign up for or do a charity for or like in general, like, before they even even say I'm gonna do one, like what should they think about first?
I mean, it just really depends on what's important to you. I mean, is there a specific area? I always plug the Detroit half and full. I do that one every year. I think it's a really unique one. You run in two countries, and It actually sold out this year in March, which was unprecedented for us. But it's usually a bit easier to get into. You don't have to jump through any hoops like as you do if you're running the majors. So there are a lot of good. I can't speak on all of them, but there are a lot of good races outside the majors. So if it's got to be what's important to you. But if you're talking specifically majors, New York, obviously, people love that. It's a big city. The crowd support's crazy. The experience that I just described, it's a little bit hectic, but it's so unique. So it's something say you did like crossing on the ferry and seeing the Statue of Liberty in the morning, being on Staten Island is all kind of just part of the experience. Um, Berlin was obviously awesome as an American, doing a race in another country. That's kind of a cool experience, right? Traveling for it. So I can't really answer the question and say there's one, but it's just whatever you feel is most important to you. People love Chicago because it's flat, so it's fast, quote unquote fast. So it's just
Yeah.
whatever you value. Yeah, the Golden
Yeah,
Gate,
cool.
Golden Gate.
Yeah. Yeah, we took a non stop flight to Colombia. So I'm right back in Colombia now. With the wall in my background. All right, y'all. So back with part two. And so yeah, we want to I want to ask Chike to show like, what his medals or medal look like from like any of these marathons he's been a part of so far. And this is
This is New York, so this is the one I just got.
okay.
So it's
Nice.
kind of cool because the side is like the elevation profile of the race. It's kind of hard; it doesn't show up that well, but you can see like because it's famous for all the bridges that it has. Queensboro being the most notorious, but it starts on the Verrazano Bridge and there's the Pulaski Bridge. A lot of different bridges, so you can kind of see the ups and downs on the side there.
Nice.
Um,
Nice, nice.
that's that's New York. That's Berlin.
It's Berlin. Okay.
The
That real
50.
gold, bro?
I doubt it, man. I doubt it. I
It
don't know.
looks like real gold to me, so I'll take it.
They gave out like 50,000 of them. So,
Nice.
um, it's in
And
Chicago here
that's Chicago.
in
Okay.
2023.
Wow. Okay. That's dope, man. Really dope. Was that
Indeed.
Pittsburgh?
This is Pittsburgh. Yeah.
Okay, man. Wow.
Yeah,
I love
Pittsburgh's a
that.
good race too. I mean, it's got a lot of hills, a lot of bridges, but it's a cool race.
That's what's up, man. Well, y'all see what you can get if you work hard and fortunate to be able to be a part of these races like he was, and you never know, man. You might be able to bring home some hardware. That's awesome. Let's talk about Black Men Run so far. So you say how long have you been with the group, and how long you been with Columbia though?
Columbia since I moved here. Actually, I came, like I said, from Atlanta, and the captain there reached out to Mike Silver, our captain, and said like let him know I was coming. So like literally, I wasn't even unpacked. I was like in the middle of training for Chicago when I moved here. It was like September 2023, and I
Mm,
remember doing a run at 5 points like 2 3 days after moving to Columbia. And I was talking to Curtis at the time about how I was supposed to be running however because it was like a month before my marathon. I think I was supposed to be running like 19 miles that day. And I'm like, well, I just moved in. I got to unpack. I don't have the time for this. So I just did the group run. But I remember that. So it's been 2 years running with Columbia. Before that, like I said, I ran with Atlanta for a year. And then before that, I ran with Black Men Run New Orleans. So I've done 3 cities, three
yeah.
cities of Black Men Run.
What do you love about the group here? I mean, obviously all groups are great. Every single BMR group is great. It's a great organization, great group of guys. I know you're here in Columbia. Like, what's the impact you think it's had on you being here in the Midlands?
Yeah, I mean, we just got a great group. Um, Everybody is supportive. For being kind of like a small, mid-sized city, I think we got a good number of people showing up, regularly. Got a good core group, and everyone's just supporting each other and motivating each other, making sure everyone stays on task and doesn't slack too much. So
Yeah. And shout out to Mike Silver, Curtis John, Joseph Brown, and Also, Kelvin Gordon, who leads our Wednesday night pub runs once a month. Absolutely, and everybody that just pitches in with leading workouts, just throughout the weeks and months. So, I want to ask you, like, so for people that look like me and you, right? So for me, like, I started running, in middle school, and but wasn't as consistent. My story is very unique, honestly, but it's I didn't see a lot of people like me doing distance running. I might have seen like maybe one black girl in my middle school. She was really good. And she ended up with like a full scholarship, I think like to Benedict College. But honestly, growing up, I didn't really see many people like me in distance running. Now I watch the Olympics or the World Championships, and I see like those who are from like Ethiopia, Kenya. They're really good runners. That's their sport. Just like over here, like it's all about football. That's their sport. But like, were you always seeing people like? And you said you're Nigerian, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So West African, we don't do the distance running as much. So no, I didn't have like role models in the sport. We play soccer, like I said. A lot of Nigerian Americans now play like basketball and football. In the NFL, NBA, whatever. But not really distance runners. No.
Yeah. So what does that mean? What does it mean for you to be at a group run with a group of guys that look like me and you, like, and how it's easy to stereotype someone just because of, how they look, that they're not interested in running. Because obviously many of us are doing that now more than we used to. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I mean it's great for anybody who needs a role model or an example to look up to. I never felt like I couldn't do something just because I didn't see anyone who looked like me doing it. I just started doing it because I wanted to. If I was the only one, I would still be okay doing it. But some people may be, more insecure or less sure. So I'm happy that we're able to have this group to kind of represent or maybe create a space that maybe people who need a group to run with, but are more comfortable with like people they can relate to more, um, anything like that.
Yeah. I just think it's good to see African Americans, getting into uh getting more into physical fitness. I mean, obviously, we love sports. You know what I mean? Like over here, we love basketball, football, and all that kind of stuff. But me growing up, I always saw that unless it was like a ball involved, like people weren't trying to run.
Yeah,
They're like, what's the purpose of it? I still
yeah,
get that. They
yeah.
say,
You
what
still
are we
get that.
doing?
It's still like that, but I mean, you'll those are excuses for people who aren't interested.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
they're not really looking. The person who's looking for a reason to run, they'll come and run with BMR. But if they
yeah,
just want to tease us or whatever,
yeah,
you'll find
yeah.
that across races too. There'll be white guys who aren't trying to run either. So.
Yeah, and that's true, man. And I'm not, and I want to make it like, and it's, I'm serious about it, but at the same time, it's kind of just funny to me, just because, for me, like health is wealth. I say that, I mean, we can go to the doctor all day, but if someone says that, if you're not getting out, if you're not walking, if you're not jogging, if you're not doing something, because everybody watches, they may not even be a runner, but it's catering to like those who want to get more into physical fitness, period. You know what I mean? That's why I have this podcast. So my question to you is, for those who are looking for a run group, there are several. I mean, I'm always posting about it almost every month about like a new run group that's out here. There's several around the Midlands, but in particular, like, with our group, like, why is it that someone like, let's say like another guy, I mean, obviously shout out to Black Girls Run too, like, why is it that, well, I don't want to ask why, but what is the main reason why, if someone is looking to like get involved and like learning how to like, find like a decent pace to run at, so they can get in some miles, throughout the week, why they shouldn't think about how good you are or how good someone else is? Because what I get at times is, when I invite guys or if I'm talking to someone, they may say, man, those guys are real good, man. I got to be in shape before I can be with them. Like, what would you say to those people or those guys, or met girls, if they want to
Yeah,
join Black Girls Run, what should they not pay attention to, too much?
Yeah, I mean it's an individual thing at the end of the day. Like the group is there to support you and give you that motivation to come out. But you just got to run your own pace. If you're looking at how fast other people are going, you're never. Well, Kipchoge is probably the fastest, but other than him, you're never going to be the fastest one. So there's no need to be comparing yourself to people faster. There's going to be people in front of you, people behind you. I think it's just easier to come out when you know there's going to be 10, 15 other guys, at least at the beginning and running the route with you. And especially if you're new, someone will run with you. I invited one of my coworkers who came to the group run like 2, 3 weeks ago, and I ran the whole thing with him. We ran like 12, 13 minute pace. And, that's not the pace that I typically run at the group runs, but, don't mind staying back with someone, especially if you brought them out, just to show that there's support there, and it's all about consistency. You keep running, you'll get better.
Yeah, I agree with that too, bro. And I think it's important because one, like, they may be new to the area. They may be introvert. I consider myself an introvert, to be honest with you, bro. I like being around, I love being around people, but I know like at the same time, I always kind of like looking for like that support system. So if someone like, comes along and like, hey man, like, if you never been with the group before, like, hey, I'll run with you. Yeah, I've done that before. I've done that multiple times. And I've seen the the reaction afterwards, like, even though someone says, no, man, I'm good, I'm good. Like, I remember this one guy, I think we were over by it was by one of the tracks, by one of the schools we ran at. And I think he's from like Orangeburg. He drove down from Orangeburg. Long story short, man, you can tell it had been a while. He's like, man, like, I got some work to do or whatever. And it was like maybe six of us, especially if it's like a small group, bro. Like I definitely try to stay with those that I knew. Like the bigger the group, there's a chance that more than one of us probably will volunteer to run with somebody. But if it's like four of us, like I don't want to leave nobody behind like that. Long story short, like, over with the course that we were on, and we're running like maybe 3.1 miles, maybe a little bit more or whatever. And I saw that, he was kind of like getting behind. And, of course, I'm looking back. I'm like, hey, man, you okay? He's like, yeah, yeah, I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. But my conscience wouldn't just let me just, let him stay back there. And I said, hey, man, when I finish, you finish. But even if they may not have said it, I started looking at eyes like, yo, like I needed someone to kind of just push me a little more. We may not always verbally say that, but
Yeah.
it's kind of just good just to be there. You know what I mean? Just so we know who we represent, as brothers. So but so yeah, so that's like my next question is, like, if someone just needs to like understand like what we are about, are they gonna get that when they come out?
Yeah, I mean, you'll definitely get it. You weren't there this morning, but we ran today, and we had no new guys, but we had a lot of the core guys, and it's always the same thing. Always Mike's asking like, how are you guys doing? Like, we got to be checking in on each other. So it's not just the running, it's the running's part of it, but it's actually, you build the relationship, like a personal relationship. So that's kind of the core of what it's about. And the running is obviously an essential part of it, and being consistent, you'll just watch yourself improve if you keep coming.
Yeah. And for those that are watching, we Black and Run, we have a calendar on our Instagram, and that's where we have all the dates of where we're gonna meet throughout the month. So you can choose when you want to show up and meet with us, and we'll welcome you open arms for sure, bro. So follow us on Instagram for sure. So other question, a question I was gonna ask you is like, do you do like other workouts in between too? Like, so I know you run, so are there like you do any gym workouts, or do you do
Yeah,
anything else
so
kind of work on your body?
I've been pretty inconsistent ever since I picked up the running more consistently. I've been like less consistent in the gym, but I mean, I still go. I probably average, 3 days a week, doing, lifting weights between, from college to like, I don't know, like 3 years ago, I was in the gym like 5 days a week, like without fail, so, but since then, I go through these slumps, especially when I pick up get closer to like a race and I'm running like 60 miles a week, there's just not a lot of time. So sometimes I'll turn around and it's been like 6, 8 weeks and I haven't stepped foot in the gym. But I try and stay regular with it. I try and go at least 3 days a week and do some resistance training. So
Yeah.
but other than that, I don't really play basketball much anymore. Once in a blue moon. Haven't played soccer in probably 10 years. So it's really just the running these days.
Yeah. I'll be honest with you. I've not bench pressed in a while. So this past week, bro, I'm proud of myself. I bench pressed 50 consistently. Yep. I did like 6 reps, like 6 sets of reps, like on the
Nice.
bench press. And I told myself, say, you know what, bro? Like, I'm not gonna try to do like 100. I'm not gonna try to do 200 because I knew it'd been so long since I've been in the gym, bro. Like, cause it's so easy to kind of look at these guys. They like this, bro. Like, shoot, man, how much are you eat? But the moment I pay attention to that and I get something on that bar and I can't lift it and it fall on me, I'm looking dumb, you know.
Yeah.
So I like to start off like, when it's been a while, when I've done something, I like to start off small. So yeah, now I've gone to the gym, but just certain things in the gym I have not done as much because I know in college, where I graduated from Emmanuel University, which used to be Emmanuel College, I did more bench pressing then because I actually, long story short, I was a walk-on sprinter as well. But for then, I mean, it was more necessary, but now like I don't really see it as being like super like required to do that, be in a gym like that. But I try to mix it up too, bro. And I know some people like to swim. I know Ivory bikes a lot.
Yeah.
Some people do yoga. It's so many different things that you can do. Do you like what's a good like chill day for you? Like like what's a good rest day for you? Do you like have like a set day you don't do anything or kind of varies? But how many days a week do you run now?
So when I'm training for like a race, I do like 5 days. Over the for the past like 2 marathons, I've done 5 days a week, and that just happened because I used to do four, but then I would take Sundays off. But then I moved here, and BMR runs on Sundays, so I'm like, well, I guess I'll just come anyway. So now it's been like 5 days. So typically, I take like Mondays and Fridays off, and then I'll run Tuesday through Thursday, and then I'll do long run Saturday, and then whatever BMR is doing on Sunday. Um, but chill day, I mean, I don't know, just typically it's like catching up on work or grocery shopping or doing something that I've neglected because of running and work. You get home from work and then go out for a run, and it's time for bed. So
Yeah.
if you're running a lot, it takes a lot of your time.
You got like a strict diet, bro? Anything you follow when you prepare for these races?
Um,
Or not really?
Not so much. I mean, I've always tried to eat healthy, so I think I do have a fairly healthy diet. I'm not really calorie counting or restricting myself too much. It's just been like a long time of kind of knowing the right things to eat and what not to eat. So I'm kind of just accustomed to it. Um, but I've tried doing the macro thing every once in a while, but it's uh it's more work.
Yeah.
So
And the one thing I didn't ask you in the last recording is and then I'm keep it going, it's like when you're doing like the longer distances, like especially like for the because everybody's watching this, not a marathon runner, so I'm just this is for everybody in general. Like when you're doing a race like that, whether it's New York, Chicago, or any 26.2 miles or longer, like is aren't we told that we have to have like a lot of calories, like a lot of like calories, just be able to not so we don't hit like a runner's wall, or am I wrong with that?
no, yeah. So you definitely uh you burn a lot more, right? You're doing more than just the typical day-to-day activity. So you definitely need more calories. You need a carb-rich diet at least around your runs. And if you're running 5, 6 days a week, then almost every day is around the run, right? So you need to have carbs to kind of keep your glycogen, your fuel source high, so that you don't kind of run out of energy mid-run. So yeah, it's being a distance runner or running distances and trying to like restrict calories and any of that. That's really a recipe for some trouble probably. So
Yeah. Okay. And the reason why I was asking Chike about this, y'all, is because when I completed my first in April, it was called the Too Slow for Boston, which is a really awesome race. I had to do that, and I realized if I had not done that, I would have hit like a wall. And obviously, I'm not an expert or a runner or anything like that at all. But as I'm attempting to try to get better at it, that was one thing I learned the most, y'all, is that I needed to eat enough because you need enough energy to be able to keep going. Because I've seen these people, man, that cross these these finish lines, and they're like they have nothing left. Like and I get the body is just interesting, period. But what I'm seeing, people are kind of like they don't know where they're at. People are dragging them across the finish line, and I wonder if they ate enough, hydrated enough. Like this is where we have to take care of our bodies enough to be able to see us accomplish those things, even if it's just getting across the finish line. So thank you for sharing that and letting us know that it's important to fuel up. Uh, yeah, do you have any hobbies, bro? You have any like things that you like find interesting? I know you said you play soccer and basketball, and is there something like cool about you that nobody ever knows about?
I don't know if I'm that cool. I don't know if there's anything cool about me, but my hobbies these days are kind of lazy hobbies outside of running.
Yeah,
Watching Michigan and Detroit sports, so Michigan football,
yeah.
the Lions, Michigan basketball. Just being a fan, I guess, these days.
Yeah. And that's the other thing. Is it's cool. Like how cool is to be able to for the recent marathon in Chicago, no, Charlotte, not Chicago. It's probably as cold as Chicago though. But going up there, what's it mean for you to be able to support other runners too when you're not running? Like, is it um just as joyful, just be able to see
Oh,
like somebody like Ore or Demetrius or a couple other guys that had never done a marathon before. Like you're up there from like the start to the finish. I noticed that, and I'm glad that we had like a cheer squad up there. But I see more of myself being a cheerleader too now. I become more of a fan of runners now. Like, what about you, bro? Just watching
yeah,
people.
no, it's so much more fun because it's like so much less stress. You're not thinking about like I gotta eat dinner by 5, 6 p.m. I gotta sleep here. I gotta be here at this time. You're just like chilling. And a lot of the big races, the environment around it is so cool. The expos are super cool and all the vendors and activities. And when you can really just, one of the downsides about being a runner is you can't really indulge in all that stuff. You got to kind of keep your focus on what you're there for, right? Like they say, don't walk too much in the day 2 days before the race. So you're in Berlin, Germany for the first time, and you want to kind of be a tourist and sightsee, but you got to remember that you got a race to run, or you're up in New York, and you know you got to walk everywhere anyway, just because that's kind of how it's set up. And you're worried about, man, I've taken 20,000 steps today. I got a race tomorrow. Like, what am I? But when you're spectating, you're not thinking about any of that. So you just get to go around and enjoy everything, take part in everything. You got to think about it. And then, yeah, it's cool because when you're out there and you're struggling, you're suffering through it, and you see a familiar face. I mean, the crowd support's great, obviously, and you see a funny sign or whatever that lifts you up. But when you see a familiar face, that gives you that little boost for however long it may last. Hopefully at least half a mile, but but who knows?
Yeah, I know, right? He's like, man, I just remember what that lady said. Okay, never mind. I'll just keep going. Like,
Yeah.
but I think it, bro, like I even became a fan. Like when I found out you was up there and I found out you was gonna have like a tracking the some kind of tracker on you. And I downloaded the app and man, y'all, when I tell you I was like glued to it, but I mean, obviously I was at home, but I was glued to this thing like from the start. I'm like, up, up, up. Look at this man pace. Like it's up, up. Like he's consistent. It's like up. Like he's falling off a little bit. Like wonder what he's doing. Okay, no, he's fine. It's still moving. Like I was watching, bro. I was like, yo, with you, Ivory when he did the Marine Corps in DC,
Yeah.
Jamila, when she ran, I believe it was in it might have been Arizona, I think, for the Every Woman's marathon. It was a few of y'all, man. But and y'all saw I was posting about it. But I like became a just like you mentioned like with football, basketball, like I become a fan of like just seeing people like, okay, like, what's their strategy gonna be? You know what I mean? Are they gonna like start off fast, start off real slow? In between, they're gonna try to like, have like different type of pace, like for the next, 4 miles or so. Like, so I don't know. It becomes something like I actually watch like how is this person gonna do? You know what I mean? And how are they gonna carry themselves the whole way? And how is the crowd gonna help them? Because some races, like, you may not have people like on every single corner, but it
Yeah,
seems like the bigger races you do have that, and that's what I like. So I think it's just important as where people are watching this that not only like it's important to get out and get active, but it's important to be like a cheerleader because you don't know who's gonna need that. I know I've been around people, I've raced with people even at Tunnel to Towers recently. I follow him on social media. I think his name is Enrique, and he was at wearing the firefighter suit, right? And it was for 9/11, so it was important to me because remembering those who lost their lives in 9/11, we should always remember that because that was a horrible day. But he had the fire suit for Tunnel to Towers, and I didn't have no fire suit. So, when I thought about like, man, how bad I was doing, I was like, yo, man, this ain't looking good. What came my way was him, and I'm thinking like, yo, like, let me just try to finish with him. And he was like, man, like, you know, and it's not to brag, for me to brag, but he was just like, I got a personal best today, but he did it in a fire suit. I ain't had no fire suit on, man. I was just like, yo, like this is crazy. It just gave me like a greater purpose, like to cheer people on while I'm struggling myself. So, um, whether you're watching or whether you're like participating. It's just either way is good. So, but I just thought to bring that up because it's nice to have a cheer squad around you because you just don't know like who's cheering you on all the time. So, I guess like we should be for the most part should be good with this. But any other final thoughts you have, bro? As far as like how has running helped you mentally, physically, emotionally, maybe spiritually, socially? Like what are the benefits of it?
yeah. I mean, all those, all those areas. Obviously, socially, most of my friends here in Colombia are through the running community, right? Because I moved down here, plugged right into BMR. And most of the people that, outside of work that I see regularly are, BMR guys or, I run with this 5 points group on Saturday or Columbia Run Club or whatever. Those are most of the people I see on a regular basis. Obviously, with the physical benefits are obvious, right? Keeping you healthy. Um, Mentally, a lot of times just out there kind of get into a state of flow and into like a zone, and you're kind of just able to think and do whatever while you're out there running for however many 3, 4, 10, 20 miles. So um, it's good for me, good for you too. That's why you do it. So hopefully, a lot of other people find benefit in it too.
Do you train with music? Do you run with music? Some people don't. Some people
Uh,
do.
I do run with music most of the time. Most of the races I don't use music because it's just so loud and there's so many people that you just kind of feed off the crowds. A lot of the times when I'm training, I'll be playing music off my phone. I actually, right here, got this speaker that I tried, but it got wet and stopped working. So they sent me a new one. It's been sitting in the box here since. Um, but yeah, sometimes it'll be like a podcast. But if you're running with someone else, you can just like chat and have a conversation. So it depends. But most of the time, yeah, I listen to something.
What's your preferred weather to run in? Obviously, it doesn't matter because you got if you got to train, you got to train. Like so,
Uh,
like, what's
I
what's to
mean,
your
I
liking?
think ideal running weather is like for racing, uh, like if I'm like low 50s, maybe high 40s. Uh, so once you get it might be a little chilly at the start, but once you get going, it's like perfect. Not too much sun, a little overcast. That's for race day, but it's a little bit uncomfortable before you start and then like right after you stop, right? So if I'm just like fun running, then 60 degrees, maybe a little sun, whatever. But it depends on what you're trying to accomplish. If it's a race day, you want optimal conditions so you can go as fast as you can. But if you're just kind of fun, easy running, you don't want to be uncomfortable. So
Okay. What's a what's an easy run for you? Well, no, I don't want to say it like that, but like what's the easy? Well, yeah, I'm gonna say it like that. What's an easy run for you when you're like training for as long as for long distances for a marathon, and what's like the hardest What's a hard day for you? What's an easy day? What's a hard day for you?
I mean, an easy day is you mean like a pace or a distance
Yeah.
or
Yeah. Distance.
uh
Yep. From start to finish. Yep.
uh my easy days they can vary, anywhere from like 8 and some change, like 8:20 to like 9:30, 9:45. It just kind of depends on how you're feeling that day. I try and go less off pace and more off feel. I mean, I do wear a watch, so I inevitably know what pace I'm running, but I try and just go off feel. And so some days I find, especially when I'm deep into training and training regularly, my easy pace like slows down, right? Because you're kind of never fully recovered. So my easy pace is like a lot slower than like in these past 3, 4 weeks since New York. I haven't been running so much, so I get out there every 3, 4 days, and I think I'm able to go a lot faster, and feel better. I don't feel like I'm pushing it. I think just because I'm so much more recovered in between runs, but
Okay.
so that's an easy pace, and then like a quicker pace. I use, like I said, a runner, so they kind of tell me what paces to hit. So um, it might be like 6:15 per mile for like an 800 meter or something like that. So um,
Okay.
I don't know. I just run as fast as I can for those, but try and hit all the reps because they'll be like run 800. So you don't want to like burn out on the first one and not be able to finish like the next 7 reps.
Okay.
So
And then when it comes to like signing up for, obviously there are many races people can sign up. We're not just talking about 26.2 miles. It can be just for a 5K. For me, I haven't ran as many races this year like I have in the last couple years because I ran a lot, almost every weekend. So lately I kind of been saying I'm kind of gonna chill. I don't run as many of them now. I do run. Obviously I'm not gonna say I'm not gonna run. I do run, but I found myself doing a little better. Like recently I did the run hard and it was like, I mean, my slowest from the first race I ever ran, like last year was like a 106. But went from that to like a 48-minute 10K, which is like pretty, I mean, it's pretty impressive, like for myself. Like, so for me, like I don't run as many now because I feel like, running like so many races, you could potentially hurt yourself. I want, like some people we know have hurt themselves preparing for like a bigger race and they weren't able to run the bigger race. So
yeah,
are you kind of like, you're not as into like signing up for a bunch of races, you kind of like wait for like maybe the best time to kind of sign up for like you said, you're looking at London now. So in between now and April, do you not try to run as many races or have you
yeah.
ever been in?
I'm definitely like a more. I have like bigger goal races, and I don't really do a bunch like in between. Like I know people here who are running a 5K every weekend, or they're participating in every like 5K or 10K that comes across. I've kind of always just run for the sake of running, and then I'll have like like a full or a half at some point. Really, over the past like year and a half, I've been involved in more races than like ever before. Usually it's like one or two a year, but recently it's been more. So yeah, London's in April. I'll do Cooper River in March. Um, and then Ori and I are going to Atlanta to do like it's called the Polar Opposite Peachtree in
Hmm.
January. So it's like the Peachtree, but it's in reverse. So I
Hmm.
got those two 10Ks and then London in April. But that's really, uh, hopefully, I think the 3 races that I'll do, in the next like 4 months. So yeah, I think it's key in staying healthy because, like I said, when I'm not racing, I'm running like relatively slow, so it's less chance of getting injury.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Do you go to like have you ever had to go to physical therapy at all in your recent years of
I mean,
yeah?
stop trying to jinx me, man. But no,
Oh man, sorry, dang. I'll think
nah,
about that. No, I mean, how has it been for you physically though? Have
yeah,
you
no,
feel pretty confident? Like how you been taking care of yourself? I mean,
yeah. I mean, I've been pretty injury free, for the most part. Like I said, I don't do a lot of like super strenuous stuff like back to back to back. So I just kind of take it easy, and it's worked out. So
okay. All right, I got a funny question for you. Then I'm probably close it out. So give you a scenario, right? The race starts out like at 35 degrees, right?
Hmm.
So you're at the start line and or before you get to the start line, you kind of layer, or do you layer up? Do you layer up like a couple long sleeve shirts? Or if you think it's gonna get to be about 50, like in the next like hour, but you're shivering, like do you just take your chances and don't layer up, bro? Or do you
So
layer
I
up
mean,
anyway?
it just depends on how cold it how cold it feels. Like usually if it's that cold, um, I'll wear like throwaway layers, like a sweater or something. I mean, 35 is not cold enough. You gotta do better, man. We run to Detroit. You gotta say like 10 degrees, 35 degrees. So if it's 35, I'm wearing shorts, um, maybe some gloves, probably a tank, and then like a sweater over the tank. And then I'll go out there, I'll run, and then a mile or two in, you take off the sweater, throw it out. And then, especially if it's warming up, 50 degrees, like I said, that's optimal. That's shorts in a tank for race day.
Gotcha. So when you're throwing it away, who's catching it, bro? You gonna run back and then get it?
Hopefully, someone who needs it. Yeah, yeah. I mean, a lot of the races, they know people are going to be throwing things out, so they'll like collect them and they'll donate them or whatever. So, like in New York, I had a throwaway layer, but I took it off before even getting to the start because it was 10 o'clock before I started, so it was warm enough. So I just left it in the start village in like the donation box.
Yeah. How did you feel after? I saw that cool machine you were using, like maybe kind of like, dang, I wish I was kind of laying there in that thing. Like, what is it that you have? Like kind of like a massager or something? Like,
Yeah, it's a Normatec, so it's like compression. So it's like a big blood pressure cuff that goes from your like feet to your upper thighs. Yeah. It's not my first one, so I kind of felt like kind of how you feel when you're done running a marathon. Exhausted, happy to be done, sore, but it was you feel accomplished.
yeah. So, do you feel like, do you ever did you ever have to, so there was a method someone told me about was after, doing so many miles, because I have steps where I'm at, where I live at my apartment.
Yeah.
Well, somebody told me don't walk up the normal way. Like, what do you mean, like, don't walk up the normal way? It's like, I get into it in a sec. But, like, I can't just walk up the steps. Like, no, you need to go backwards. I'm kind of like, why the heck would I go backward? And they told me the story of, your muscles, like, they on your legs so much, or been on your legs for so long, you could like easy like, lock your legs and you could fall forward flat on your face. And somebody did that. And so they thought to tell me that like back in April, like, that's not gonna happen. So I was scared out of my mind thinking like it was. So I'm thinking like, okay. I'm gonna walk up back, and I literally walked up backwards, Chike. I ain't lying to you. Has that ever anybody ever told you that? Like, did
No,
you
that's the
have
first
to?
time I've heard walking backwards. I mean, obviously you're very sore after a long race, but I've just kind of thugged it out up the steps. But it's not comfortable. But maybe next time I'll try walking back. I was in New York, like I said, so we were doing a lot of walking the day after the race because the whole city kind of like it's kind of like a party, and then afterwards there's a lot of free stuff that you can go around and collect for like race finishers. So I wasn't gonna miss out on my free stuff. So I was I was walking all through New York with my medal, picking things up, just sore. But I think it helps a little bit. Like I think it helps get the blood circulating and wash away some of the like byproducts, the lactic acid and stuff. So it's still uncomfortable, but I think it's better than just sitting on the couch for the first several days.
Yes, exactly, exactly. Well, y'all, hey man, this is hope this has been very helpful to you all, and for those who have reached out to me personally and said, hey man, like I love what you're sharing, Rico, and continue to do more of it. This is not about you all just having to live up to somebody else's standards, running wise, but you just never know what you might be able to accomplish if you stick with it. So it doesn't matter if it's a mile, 2 miles, 3 miles, up to an ultra run. Doesn't matter. Like, it's important just to get out and just get active. And so, Chike is one of these guys that I really admire. And I just like to see where people have started at because some people don't start very early with physical fitness. It wasn't like that in my house growing up. But later I come to appreciate, my body and I want to take care of it the best I can. And but one of the things we just have to do, we have to be willing to be active and stay active. So there are run groups available, there are gym groups available. Just don't be afraid to join one and see where you can start at. You just never know. So I thank you for your time, GK. I appreciate you, bro. And
Yeah,
hope you enjoy
yeah,
it,
you.
bro.
All right, man.